Welcome to Creative Innovators. Please enjoy this podcast series. It is really about where to take your career. Yes, you're going to be listening to great people who are doing crazy and amazing things across sometimes wide and diverse careers. But it's really a place to get inspired. My name is Gigi Johnson, and I'm so glad to have been building this podcast across 2020, a year that will live in some kind of infamy. But hopefully you've built some ground speed. Go back, listen to past episodes, and listen to all sorts of great directions people have taken their careers in a wide variety of creative enterprises, different types of occupations. Come join us. And also feel free to go to creativeinnovatorsclub.com, our new space where we're going to be gathering people to take a look at how do I build my next creative career? And we've got new classes for rebuilding your creative career for 2021. Come join us at Creative Innovators Club, and you can see all sorts of great tools that go with this toolbox of creative innovators. I am a fangirl for Laura Escudé. Laura runs Electronic Creatives, but that's not all she does. She has created essentially a whole genre for herself, training people on how to use Ableton Live, and now using all sorts of techniques and tools to help creatives understand how to expand their personal engineering, their audio playback, creating the live music performance with all sorts of great tools. I first met her at South by Southwest. She was demonstrating both an electronic violin concert that she built around herself, but how she used Unreal Engine to create variability and randomness around this pre-structured violin concert. She's done that now for major organizations, major talent, including Kanye West in The Weeknd, and now teaches this. Pivoted totally online this year. I should say, when you hear this, it's going to be 2021. Laura has built a teaching platform, a community platform, and a transformational platform for people to build talent in with technology. Enjoy Laura's adventures and think about what you could do in this whole realm of mixing tech with creativity and experience. I am totally amazed by you. I really love what you do in combining technology, creation, teaching, personal activation. It's such a magical combination. And I was so happy to meet you at South by Southwest, listening and watching you share all this with people. Can you talk a little bit about what you do now? Because it's such an interesting interfolding of so many different things together. What is the magic of Laura Escudé Enterprises?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to be here. It was wonderful to meet you. It was like you were the person in the room that was like, I know what you're talking about. So yeah, I call myself an artist slash entrepreneur. Like that's the zoomed out version. Within that, I'm a music producer. I'm a violinist. I am a live show designer and producer. So my loves are just music and technology and education and, you know, helping artists and other folks to learn about how to use technology to create their and envision their dream live shows. So that's kind of been my mission for a while now. And yeah, I do a lot of work in the music tech space, both as an artist and also as an entrepreneur and playback engineer. So that is a person that does all the music playback for live shows. And I've toured quite a bit and done a lot of different things. So yeah, that's kind of the broad strokes elevator pitch, I suppose.
And it's a unique elevator pitch. I mean, I've not met anybody else that has that mix of superpowers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I do think it is kind of like a little bit rare what I do. And I've just have really combined all of my loves together, and just kind of keep adding on, and personal development and supporting women in the industry is also really important to me, and showing that it's a safe space for them to come and learn and grow their art and their artistry. And so, I just love to be inclusive and include as many people in my process and with my education stuff as well. And just, it's really important for me to be a good example for folks that are coming up and wanting to learn and get into music technology.
So I'm going to back you up way back in personal history, the Wayback Machine. Laura, when she was a little person, was a musician early on. I mean, you at one of your cores is as a fabulous violinist, right?
Yeah. So I started playing violin when I was 6 and just fell in love with the instrument and performing. And it wasn't until I was in college that I discovered electronic music and music production. So for a really long time, I was just, classical violinist, played in an orchestra, read music on a sheet of paper, and then kind of just started to get more into the technical electronic side of things later on.
So are you from a musical family, a tech family?
Definitely a bit musical. I mean, my mom played guitar and sang and, piano. So I definitely remember her kind of playing instruments as I was growing up. But other than that, no one else in my family was really very musical. And not super technical. I mean, I didn't really consider myself to be technical until later on, and I really had to work at it because it was challenging. It was very intimidating when I first started to get into the tech. But I kind of joke around that the most tech that I used was the dual cassette player, and I would tape one tape to the other tape to make mixtapes when I was a kid. So that was kind of the most tech that I got into.
Well, I was going to say that also identifies the era too, right?
Yes.
So if you're explaining that now, it'd be like, you would do what?
I know. I said that actually the other day, and someone was like, I don't remember that. I'm like, yeah, you're very young. Of course you wouldn't.
Well, it was also part of dating, right? So you'd make a mixtape when you were dating, or it'd be your car tape, right? So that you'd be curating your own playlist as something you'd carry with you.
Absolutely. And Casey Kasem,
But you'd think about that you were choosing music and then thinking about creating a portable experience before music was portable. Yeah, gosh, that ages me as well. Yeah. Where did you grow up?
So my father was in the military. So I was born in Florida, lived in Guam, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, spent a little time in Nashville, Tennessee, and then came back to Florida for college. So all around. But I've been in LA for about 16 years now, which is wild to think about.
So college for you was as a musician, what did you study?
I studied violin performance with a minor in business. Yeah, so I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I knew that I didn't really want to become a classical violinist, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, I was good. I definitely was good, but I wasn't the type of violinist that would practice 10 hours a day. I just didn't want to kind of live that lifestyle. So I started looking at other areas around music to get into.
What did you think you wanted to be when you grow up? I'm spending a lot of time with 20-year-olds right now, and they're having this, how do I envision where I'm going? So the 20-year-old you thought you wanted to do...
At the time I was like, I'll play violin. I wanted to get into music education. Thought maybe I'll be a teacher.
Well, that's interesting because you are.
I know. I mean, it's only been kind of recently again that I've been doing more teaching. It's, for a while I didn't do any of it. So it's kind of interesting how things kind of come full circle. But yeah, I really didn't know. I got a scholarship to go to grad school to study music education. And I kind of was like, I wasn't fully feeling it. So that's when I decided to move to LA and kind of try my hand at LA. But, I just wasn't sure. I didn't know. And it's kind of impossible to know, I think, until you have more life experience. I think some people are like, oh my gosh, I've known I wanted to do this from day one. Well, me, I was kind of floating. I was like, I want to do music, but not exactly the way that I thought it was going to look like. And so it really just happened. My career just unfolded as I kind of progressed, and the people that I met and the experiences that I had, and the more I was exposed to things. And so, yeah, I also see a lot of young people that are like, I need to figure it all out right now. And they put so much pressure on themselves. And it's like, it's hard to imagine that it really just unfolds, but it does.
Or it's different places for different people. We've had people on this show who started their business at 14, and you kind of go, okay, that was so not me. I was wandering in the dust at 14. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. I don't know where the heck that went. But, sort of the dream stages you have is what you're exposed to. So you came to Los Angeles. What did you walk into?
Well, at first I walked into Craigslist.
Yay!
So
Craigslist.
I got into Craigslist, and I just was like, whatever job I could get. And I was like a contestant. Well, not contestant. I was in the audience at game shows. So I was like, in the audience, I got paid like $15 an hour to just kind of sit there and clap and, look cool or whatever. And so I did that. And then from there, I met this guy that had like a market research company, and he had me come and like try food and like watch movies and, all this kind of stuff. And I just did all kinds of odd jobs. I did like less than a day of being a talent scout, where I had to go up to parents at malls and try to get their children, scout out children for talent. I mean, it was awful. I'm sorry. A day of that sounds like, I know there are people, this is what they do. They're probably very happy about it. But to me, the day of that would be a day too long. I actually didn't do it at all. I went there and I got trained, and I just would try, and it wasn't me. So I was just trying to find anything in music, but it was challenging because, in Florida, after I graduated from school, I actually started teaching at a school there. And I was teaching Pro Tools, and I was teaching like music production stuff. So I had a little bit of experience, but I got to LA, and just the market was so saturated. Everyone, they had their teachers, everyone was working already. So I was like, well, I'm just going to find, whatever odd job that I can. And then I actually just a stroke of luck, actually, I had a keyboard that was broken, and I kept calling the company. It was M Audio, and I kept calling them and saying, this keyboard's not working. And I was on a PC, and they're like, well, try a Mac. And I was like, well, it works on a Mac, but I don't have a Mac. I have a PC. And they just kind of left me in limbo. The guy left me in limbo, and I was like, I spent a lot of money for this. I needed it to work. This is my only keyboard. And then I remember my friend and I went out to this electronic music night, and somehow I started talking to this guy, and then I put two and two together. I'm like, wait a minute, you're the guy from tech support. I've been talking to you. And he said,
you didn't hit him with the keyboard or anything else.
No. I mean, he was a really nice guy. He was trying to, figure it out. And he was like, you really know a lot about this stuff, because everything that he said to me, I had a counter for. I'm like, no, but this, and this. And he's like, you actually know a lot of stuff. He's like, let me introduce you to my boss. And so I went in and I interviewed, and just kind of got the job. And so all of a sudden I had like a job, and it was great.
But that was as... What was that
tech support. I was doing tech support. So all the people that couldn't get their stuff to work.
So you're on the phone telling
on
people,
the phone,
is it
or
on?
Email.
Did you?
Yeah. Right, exactly. That was the number one thing. So is the ON/OFF switch, is that flipped to the ON side?
That is so massively
9
specific,
times,
but I can totally see. I had a boss once who was trying to show off years ago to her brother who came in that she could use her computer, and it wasn't working, and I just quietly went and flipped the on switch on, and then she was really embarrassed. But
totally, yeah.
But that's part of the charm of tech support.
part of the thing. Yeah, I mean, it was great though. It was like all of the people, this particular, manager, amazing guy, he just had a knack for finding all of just the best people. And we were all around the same age, and, we were all making electronic music and producing, and, there was just such a great camaraderie there. And we all started to build each other up. And we just started, doing shows together, and, so we formed this community there, and it was really great.
So you were tech support queen with a great tech support community,
yes.
And then went to do what? Because I know some of your journey, but not how you got into some of it.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing all of the audio playback? I mean, you've done so many amazing things. How did you go from that into your superpowers?
Well, at the time, M Audio was distributing this little-known software called Ableton Live. And Ableton was the free software that you got when you got a keyboard or you got an interface. And so we had these people calling and saying, I got this software called Ableton, and I have no idea how to use it. And I was like, well, gosh, I don't know how to use it either. And I was getting these calls, and I wanted to be up on things. So I started to learn how to use it. And then I was like, wow, this software is amazing. Like, it's for live performance. And before that, I was, using Reason, which is also a great piece of software, but I had to load a different session for every song when I perform live. And when I discovered Ableton, it was like I could just have all the songs in live. So I learned the software, and pretty soon I started doing demos for the company at like the NAMM show, and, doing presentations. And I actually had a couple other jobs at M Audio. I was only there for 2.5 years, but I was really like, wanted to climb the ladder. And so then I moved over to sales, and I did sales for a little while, and, that wasn't really my jam. And then they had a job in marketing as an artist relations assistant. And so I did that, and I became the tech support for, all of the artists. So kind of big name artists would come in and get gear, and then they would call me and say, my thing's not working, So I just started doing tech support for these artists. And then, I become very friendly with the company Ableton, and I caught wind that they were going to start doing their own distribution. They'd gotten, to a certain level where they're like, hey, we want to just go out on our own. And they'd raise their brand's awareness by being in all these M Audio boxes, which was great. And so I just said, hey, can you take me with you? And so I interviewed, and they hired me on. So I became the first West Coast product specialist for Ableton. This is back in 2007. And, this was like my first taste of freedom, because they didn't have an office in LA. So I was working from home, and I was kind of like, kind of an entrepreneur, but like, had a job, and it was great, and it had benefits and all the things. And so I was going around to, all the stores and schools, and doing a lot of presentations, and teaching people how to sell Ableton Live and also use Ableton Live, teaching all the salespeople like, hey, this is why you would want to sell it to someone, and blah, blah, blah. So I did that for about a year, and then I actually won the top salesperson of the month award, and I won a little iPod Nano, if you remember those things. And
oh yeah, well those were cool back then, right?
They were very cool.
Music in your
revolutionary,
pocket, and it looked cute.
Exactly. So I won one of those, and then I remember like that same day I was in San Francisco. I'd just done a training, and I was really happy. And my boss called me, and he was like, hey, I really need to talk to you. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. It sounded serious. And he said, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to lay you off. And I was just floored. I was like, what do you mean you have to lay me off? Like, this is my dream job. I love this. This is, and so then he said, well, we're going to lay you off, but we're going to make you the first Ableton Certified Trainer. And at the time, it didn't really mean that much, but I'd been helping to develop the program when I worked at the company. And I just kind of knew it was like, okay, like Pro Tools certification, like there's Ableton certification. So they laid me off and I lost my benefits and all that stuff. And I was really sad about that. But then they also were still hiring me freelance and then made me a certified trainer. And, I started interviewing at different companies, but nothing felt right. It was just, I didn't want to go back to driving an hour and a half, to a different side of town to like go work at a desk job again. I had that taste of freedom and I just didn't really want to do it. So, I just started my own company. I started doing consulting for different brands, and Ableton was one of my clients. So they would hire me from time to time, and this is when the economy tanked back in 2008. So things got really kind of sketchy for a lot of companies then. And so I was kind of, they didn't want to hire anyone full time, but I was doing like a little piece here and a little piece here, and so pretty soon I had a little company when I was representing all these brands, and I had all these relationships at the stores and at the schools. So I'd just go in and say, hey, now I'm peddling this software and this software and this, yeah. So,
kind of a manufacturer's rep, but in an interesting kind of combined portfolio way.
Right. It was just for all the smaller brands that really couldn't afford to have a full-time person. So it was like the really niche-y kind of brands. And so that was great. I just really loved doing that. And I did that for about a year. And then I got a call from this guy, got an email from this guy that works at Cirque du Soleil. And they said, hey, we've got this position in Vegas. Do you want to move to Vegas for 4 months and program this show called Viva Elvis, based on Elvis's catalog? And I was like, sure. I had no idea what that meant, but I was like, sure, I can do it. I know Ableton really well. And so, I literally got the job just because, I was at the forefront of, the Ableton Live movement, and I was on the website and all that kind of stuff. And so, I went there and I worked for 4 months on this show, learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes. But, I made it out alive, came back to LA in 2010. And then from there that I started kind of the next form of my business, which was live show playback, playback engineering, live show design. And so I just started getting calls. And I remember I got a call from this guy who was a sales rep, one of my, relationships from when I was going around to all the stores. And he said, hey, I've got this guy, he's Kanye West's engineer. Do you want to, go work with him? And I said, sure. So I went and I worked with this guy, Anthony, and Anthony Kilhofer. And, he said, teach me how to do this stuff. And then kind of fast forward a bit, a lot of stuff happened, but then I found myself like in the position where I was like, actually, you do it. So then that's kind of started my career with touring. I mean, I literally started kind of at that level. Most people kind of work their way up from like, a van to, a van with an attachment on the back to like a bus. And it was literally went from 0 to 100, like very quickly. So so then I started touring and got into all that.
So for those who don't know what a playback engineer is, because I must admit, I was foggy on it till I've spent some time just looking at your work. Yeah. What is the work of a playback engineer? Because it seems to be incredibly gear and system and software setup, but it's understanding space. It's being slightly psychic. I mean, it looks like it's an entire kind of layer cake of skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that you said psychic because it's really, a lot of artists expect for you to read their minds. It's like, I wanted that. Well, you didn't say that. But it's you're responsible for the playback of all the music during a live performance that the band isn't performing, right? So most modern bands have some sort of playback because, the artist or the audience wants to hear the music as it sounds on the record. And so the band will play along with some stems some other tracks that are made to fill in the production, right? And also like a click so that they can keep in time with one another. Everyone's got in-ears on, which are like headphones that are inside your ears. And it also syncs up with the lighting and the visuals, just to make sure that every time that chorus hits, that same flash of lights and video happens every night. So really playback is a very important role because it's kind of the glue that brings everything together between the band and the folks that are mixing the show, whether it's monitors or front of house, and the lighting and video. And so that means that we're responsible for making whatever crazy idea that the artist or musical director or someone in the band, whatever crazy idea they want, we have to make it happen. So if they're like, this song is too slow, I want to speed it up, or I want to take out the bridge of this song and I want to extend the chorus, or I want more backing vocals, I want to kind of layer some more vocals in there, or I don't want any backing vocals, I want to take it out for the song, or I want to pitch this song down because my voice is kind of, raspy tonight and I've been singing a lot of days in a row, or I want to remix this song because I'm tired of it and I want it to sound different and I've played it 100 times and I want to do a reggae remix of it, or, I want to bring in a lion roar from South Africa, and it's got to be this really specific one.
I thought you were going to say, I'd like to bring a lion on stage. No, that doesn't work in the playback.
Yeah, so anyway, there's just all these different kind of things that could be thrown at you, and you just got to be ready to kind of act on whatever wish they want.
So you then ended up touring with Kanye for a while.
I did, yeah. So it was like 2011 through 2017, mostly, not full time. I mean, he tours, but he doesn't tour like, say, I don't know, Ariana Grande or Rihanna or some of these pop acts where they tour for years, but he did a lot of shows, he did a lot of shows. So I did all those shows and tours that he did. And then in between would work with other artists on their shows. And yeah, so that was like kind of the lifestyle for a while.
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Yeah. So in 2016, I just was completely like burned out. I'd done 3 different shows with 3 different artists in a week, and including Kanye, and kind of just was back to back in different cities. And, my body just kind of was like, no, you're not going to, you got to slow down. So yeah, I had a health crisis then, and took me a little while to recover from that. And but it really did make me stronger after the fact, because I was like, hey, I gotta like take care of myself more. I can't run myself into the ground. I can't live this way anymore. And so that was really when I started my Transmute programs, where I just had this vision of bringing together health and wellness and spirituality and personal growth and all the things that I love that just feed me and like make me happy, and bringing that stuff together with the music and the technology and the artistry and all the things that I love on that side. So I created the Transmute Retreat back in 2017. And from there, that spawned my Transmute Accelerator program, which is actually coming up. It's going to be a year-long program, artist development program for artists who want to learn how to harness the power of technology to create their amazing live shows and live streamed shows. So yeah, it was out of that, I just stopped touring as much. I mean, I still have done shows, like, I'll do like the Grammys or certain things. I've also done playback on American Idol for the last couple of years. But I just kind of started taking care of myself a little bit more, and I wasn't like jetting off to, London if I got a call like, hey, we need you to go to London tomorrow, or we need you to go to London in a few hours, which is kind of more what it was like.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're able to then have a home base and be able to then connect with people globally. I mean, I find fascinating. We're recording this in November of 2020, where we've been a big chunk of the year in teaching and working and living remotely. And you stepped on that bandwagon a couple years earlier.
I did. Yeah, I'm really thankful for that. I had the vision of creating this global online community of artists, and I really saw a niche. I saw a way that I could parlay my knowledge from working with these artists, like Kanye, and to helping independent artists with their shows and really helping them achieve a level of, self-expression and growth within their own music. And I just started seeing more and more that artists wanted to be performing, wanted to have control over their own stuff, didn't want to have to rely on anyone else on stage to make these kinds of decisions. So yeah, that's kind of where the whole idea stemmed from. And the word transmute is just very special to me. It just, came into my mind one day, and I looked it up. I'd heard it before, but it just means to move from one form of energy into another. And I just thought that was just so fitting for what I was trying to do. I was like, okay, we're here right now, but I want to be here. And how do we do this? We morph, we transmute the energy from here to there. So yeah, that's kind of how my program was born. And with this year, 2020 being, a challenging year, my company, Electronic Creatives, that does music playback for artists. I mean, we had, so many tours on the line, and within a couple of days, everything just got canceled, as we all know. And so I was like, hey, this is actually great. I'm going to focus on my artistry. I'm going to focus on my Transmute program. And I just really dove headfirst into focusing on it 100%. And I just discovered, hey, this is really what I love doing. I'm not at the mercy of anyone else, because even though I wasn't touring, we were still kind of at the mercy of other artists and their schedules and, crazy stuff that would happen. And so it feels good. It feels like everything's kind of come full circle from, when I wanted to be a teacher and when I started becoming, an Ableton Certified Trainer and all that stuff. And I've been able to perform a lot online and do live streams, and all of my performances, I try to do a little bit of educational stuff as well. So yeah.
You're doing webinars also, which I've stepped in a few of them, and that's been fascinating.
Yes, definitely. So, and then I've just created the Transmute Academy, which is my educational platform. So we've got some free courses on there. We've got some paid courses on there. And then folks can find out about my Transmute Accelerator program if they want to kind of go all in and work with me and my team and all that stuff. So that's actually been a fairly recent launch, and I'm really excited about that because we had our community on Facebook, and just things were kind of everywhere. And now it's okay, there's one spot. You go there, you join the community for free, get to hang out, learn things from folks, watch some amazing courses and videos, and just kind of integrate. And I just feel like we've got such an amazing community of high vibe artists. I mean, that's kind of what my mission is to call all the people that are, supportive of others and, are doing amazing, wonderful things in their career. Just call everyone to one place and be all right, let's all hang out here and nerd out and support each other and rise up. And
it's also international. I mean, you have a much bigger than a Los Angeles footprint as a result.
Oh yeah, totally. So with every Transmute Accelerator session, we've had people from the other side of the world, Singapore, Australia, Slovenia, Barcelona. I mean, just really all over the world. It's truly a global community.
And diverse, I assume.
Very diverse. Yes. A lot more women joining in the program, which is great. And yeah, just a lot of amazing folks. From all walks of life, really.
I mean, to me, watching it, it's almost like it's teaching someone a new language, or a whole other layer of creativity on top of what might be someone who's been performing for quite a few years but doesn't think of themselves as a tech person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have opened it up a bit more. When I first started the program, I wanted it, it was just for ninjas, right? It was okay, we want all the ninjas to become even more ninja. And then I just realized, oh, wow, there's all these artists that are like just starting out and they want to be here too. So I've started to, create more content for those folks as well and just make it kind of inclusive for all levels. And heading into 2021, we've kind of revamped the program. So it's going to be a year-long program, and we've got sessions for beginners. We got sessions for advanced people. We've got creative empowerment sessions. We've got a mastermind with me every month. We've got guest artists from all over the world zooming in and talking about their process and performing for us. And the artists in the program also get to perform on a festival online. And so I think it's just a really unique experience, and just really happy with the way that it's come together. And I have an amazing team and all that as well. So
excellent. Well, we are pretty much near the end of our conversation, though we can always pick it up once your programs are further along for this coming year. But anything that we haven't talked about that you'd want to mention before we wrap up?
Probably just to, check out my music and check out my YouTube. Got lots of tutorials and things there, music stuff, performances. I've got some sample packs and new music in the works. So yeah, just come hang out on my channels. Come check out the Transmute Academy and see what's going on there. And yeah, just get into my world. It's super fun.
So now we've heard Laura talk the story of how she started out with a bit of a random walk and was able to come in at early stages of interesting changes from her audio not connecting up with her keyboard. I think that's a fascinating pivot point. We'll put all of the ways to find you in the show notes, and I'm excited to see what happens in your adventures in the world ahead, the year ahead, and the world ahead. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Well, there's the adventure. I hope you found this inspirational. If you are interested, please find them to participate in their work through our show notes or their social media, and come back to future episodes of Creative Innovators to get inspired in your work. And if you'd like to rebuild your career, come find us at nextcareer.me to take our Next Career program to figure out what you might do as your new adventures as a creative innovator.